church was doing. It was like he couldn't even read the Bible, punishable by death. So Martin Luther had enough of it. He translated it into German so the rest of the people could read the Bible, because they would keep it secret, because that way they could do everything. Well, the word says this is what we have to do. You can't read it or you'll die. We'll have you killed. But we get to do this to you. Wait a minute. It doesn't say that. And that's what's interesting. When you go to the Lutheran church, still today, very similar to Catholicism, but all of the weird stuff is gone.
Yeah.
Jesus isn't hanging on the cross anymore. Mother Mary's not being, a big statue in front. You're praying to
worshipped.
her. Yeah, and you have all these different saints you're praying to. You don't have any of that stuff, because none of that's biblical, by the way. Jesus isn't on the cross anymore.
Yeah.
Jesus is in heaven, sitting at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. So it's interesting to me that Pope Leo now is saying usury corrupts the human heart and enslaves the poor. Pope Leo has denounced the practice of usury as a grave sin that destroys life. And this is the same Vatican Church.
I mean, he's not wrong, though. I mean, it's manipulated the entire market.
But what isn't that what you do, though? You point the finger at somebody else when you're doing the very same thing? How about the Vatican Bank and what they've done in South America, running money for the doggone mafioso groups and for the CIA?
Well, it helps you obfuscate it, because it looks like you're basically calling something out for what it is when they're the ones that are actually doing it. So it's not surprising.
And he goes, entire peoples can be enslaved. It's true. And so he's doing this mission now rooted in mercy, trying to free the people from the slavery of this, usury. And quite frankly, that's all a central bank does.
That's all they do. Look what they're doing with the markets right now. I read another article that was popping up on gold and silver over the weekend on Zero Hedge. And pretty much everybody that's awake enough in the markets is saying the exact same thing, that people are realizing that the gold and silver doesn't exist as far as on these paper notes that they're doing. And that's why everybody's taking delivery, and all of a sudden these COMEXs are going, we don't have 100,000 ounces here. We don't have 1 million ounces here. Get it. I'm buying it. I got the contract for it. And so they're just absorbing it up. And one of the guys said that I'm just saying what he said on there. He said that gold's probably going to hit about 5,000 on the ceiling. And he said at that point, silver's probably going to shoot up to about 200. He said that'll put it in the ratio where it needs to be for at least a short time period. And he said, but right now, AI is taking over all the contracts. Exactly what I told you guys last week. Those massive data centers they're building are putting in huge bids for silver. Now, here's the part that's crazy. I'm going to talk about this for a second. So I watched the video on over the weekend. They're saying now that basically they're going to be doing these watermarking, AI-generated text and videos.
It's ridiculous.
No, so I want to address this for a second. Everybody keeps going on and on about how AI is this, and it's great, and it's doing this, and it's doing this, and it's doing this. Yeah, I haven't found one significant major benefit that it's actually producing. It's really just causing more problems and more confusion. And people now, somebody sent me a video the other day, and basically it was this porcupine that basically stuck this guy with quills. It was a weird video. It was supposed to be like a nature video, and it looked 100% real. I thought it was real. Somebody sent me things that says AI, and I looked at the comments and it was fully AI. And I started thinking to myself, I said, we've reached the point now where you can't even really believe what you're seeing now with videos, with AI. And we're just in its infancy. 2 or 3 years now, it's going to be nuts. But they're saying, hey, we're going to watermark it. We're going to watermark it, and that's going to show you that it's AI, and that way you'll know that's the truth, and we'll stop misinformation. Well, what happens when the powers that be, the globalists, ones that love free air, decide that they're going to produce videos and not allow the watermark on them, and it's going to be AI? I mean, could you imagine 5 years ago with the level of AI that's rolling out now, these videos, if they would have done this during COVID? They start producing AI videos of all kinds of crazy stuff with people dying in the middle of the street. Remember China started some of those videos?
How do we know if they weren't AI?
Exactly. Now, all of a sudden, what happens in the next phase of another pandemic or something? Now we're going to be relying on the full truth to be on a watermark. It's a watermark. Watermark proves it. What happens when they do this? What happens when they make an AI video and they pull the watermark off and they blame somebody for something? This isn't AI. This is a real video. This person doing this. We've got to charge them now. You go, I wasn't even there. I had nothing to do with that. That's a fake video. No, sorry, peasant. We've deemed it so that it's a real video and it's not AI. This whole world that we're rolling into with AI and everybody running it and completely pushing all this money into it is going to bite us all in the butt, in my opinion. And that's why I've continually told everybody, if you're using it for a tool, use it. But this whole end-all, be-all, the AI is the final destination of tech, and it's going to be the latest, greatest thing. It is going to cause some very, very severe problems long-term.
War of the Worlds.
There you go.
H.G. Wells. Radio
full invasion.
Mercury Theater.
Video. If the main, it's funny. I watched this movie last night. We told you guys I wanted to watch it again, and it was Don't Look Up. I watched it last night, though, but with a very open platform as far as I really tried to pick up on the nuances on it. And that film is creepy. It is creepy.
It should have won an Academy Award.
It is creepy. And you got this tech guy. They're doing this giant rocket launch, and the tech firm, which they showed how the tech firms run the country. They pick the presidents, that they're pedophiles, by the way. They show basically not visually on it, but they imply it. And he walks in, he goes, I need to talk to you. He's talking to the president. He goes, oh, she's sitting there. He goes, I need to talk to you now. She gets out of the briefing and runs out of the room to go cater to him. And what they're doing is they show you in the film how these tech firms and these phones and these Apples and all this stuff have turned into these gigantic tracking devices. And all they do is monitor everything you do. So they can actually build an AI video-based algorithm on something you would probably do but have not done and make it look completely real. And basically blame me for it. The level of where it's going with it is absolutely insane. So that's why I've encouraged people to be very cautious on this stuff and be very cautious what you see now and what you believe. Don't trust anything anymore. That's just the way it is.
You know what's funny? It's weird. You know,
You might.
what happened was, when way back, I think I'm going to pull it up right now with Mercury Theater, The War of the World.
Yeah, pull it up real quick.
What it
that was a long time ago.
It was in the 30s. It was a psyop they did. And here, I'm going to read it to you real quick. The War of the Worlds was a Halloween episode of the radio series The Mercury Theater on the Air, which was broadcast live in 1938 over the CBS radio network. The episode was directed and narrated by Orson Welles, an adaptation of H.G.L.'s novel The War of the Worlds. And it's infamous for inciting panic by convincing some members of the listening audience, millions by the way, that a Martian invasion was actually taking place. They did it without commercials.
This is a live broadcast.
It is live news. The first half of the program was delivered in a realistic breaking news format. Since the Mercury Theater on the Air had few commercial interruptions, the first break came after fictional reporters had described a devastating alien invasion in the fall of New York City. It apparently caused some confusion and fear among the listeners, though the scale of the panic is disputed. Somebody said millions. Popular legend holds that some of the radio audience may have been listening to the much more highly rated show, The Case of Sanborn Hour, The War of the Worlds, during a musical interlude, thereby missing Wells' introduction to the show as a work of science fiction. Officials with CBS became aware of the public's growing reaction while the show was still being performed live. Reports started coming in that there was massive panic from all over the country while it was being produced. And though there was some pressure to stop the production, it continued. There you go. All the way to its planned conclusion. There was widespread media outrage in the hours and days that followed. The program's news bulletin format was described as deceptive by some newspapers and public figures, leading to an outcry against the broadcasters and call for the regulation of the FCC. Wells apologized in a hastily called news conference the next morning, and no punitive action was taken. The broadcast and subsequently publicity brought the 23-year-old Wells to the attention of the general public and gave him the reputation of being an innovative storyteller and trickster. Now, what's funny about this, a lot of people say this entire thing was done by the OSS, the precursor to the CIA.
Experiment.
Because they wanted to see how much control they could have over a person's mind with an alien invasion.
With just the radio.
Remember, Operation Bluebeam that Werner von Braun said would happen would basically be an alien invasion of the United States or the world by somebody. Even Ronald Reagan brought it up in one of his speeches. If an outside entity from another world came in to invade us, we would all coalesce together. And Werner von Braun said they were going to use that basically as a coalescing factor to basically say, hey, look, we have to come together. Out of chaos will come a new world order. And the crazy part about it is I tie all that together now with AI. You think, well, how do you tie it together with AI? It's going to be a Martian invasion. It's going to be an alien invasion. It's going to be all over the news with AI. And they're going to have AI footage of these spaceships coming in. And everybody's saying, you don't understand, the spaceships have come into New York.
Yeah.
I saw it on TV.
Yeah.
And we've been so programmed to believe all the lies on TV. They used to tell us back in the 60s, seeing is believing.
Well, I'll take it a step further. This is what's going to sell it. If whatever they do, and I'm not saying they're going to do this, but this is what's going to sell it. The AI and social media.
Yeah.
Because people are going to believe a little bit on mainstream media, but everybody has such distrust for mainstream media, it's not really going to go as far. It's going to happen when they have all these paid actors and influencers post the same videos of these AI footage of whatever it may be, and they all start posting in unison along with mainstream media. That's what's going to sell it.
The technology is here.
Technology's there. And everybody's going to go, oh my gosh, did you see this influencer that I know? He's got 20 million followers. I follow him all the time. He always posts legit stuff. He's posting the video too. Real world is happening. He took the video. That's how they're going to sell it.
And the crazy part about it is with AI and with holographic technology, they can actually make something appear in the sky that's not there.
Yeah. Well, that's what there's so much discussion and buildup with the UFO topic, and they're constantly rolling it out. So,
well, no, because they're having full disclosure. And now I've told you guys the UFOs are real. They're probably a holdover from the pre-Adamic race. And you know what happened, when they had the giant coup d'etat against God Almighty. And, everything we've been told about this planet is a lie anyhow. Everything's a lie. That's why they have to use constants in chemistry and constants in physics. They've got to, because you can't, Einstein about drove himself bonkers trying to figure out what gravity was. Yeah. And a lot of people say it's just an electrostatic charge. Whoa, did I say that? I didn't say about gravity. I said that. And, and the crazy part about it is, yesterday I was at Clearwater. Yeah. I was having lunch over there, and I looked, as far as the north was to the south with the Gulf of America. You guys like that?
I like that better.
Whatever.
I'm sorry.
Well, but you can see, as far as you can see one way, and as far as you see the other way, it's way past 20, 30 miles that way if you look at both directions like that. And it was just a flat line. I could put a level on it.
Oh, gosh, it's a Monday show. Anyways, you guys want...
But you think about it. I'm not saying the earth is flat. I never said that. I'll never say that. I don't know what it is. All I know is this. Something ain't right.
That's a fact.
And Einstein drove himself bonkers trying to figure it out. And then we find out that Isaac Newton is the one who told us about, the whole circular earth and everything else. And he was a high-level Kabbalist wizard whose writings were so satanic they had to hide them for the general populace. And when every so often they get resurfaced, they get bought up real quick and get hidden again.
I just want to know I can't visit Antarctica. That's always my topic of discussion, why there are zero satellite footage, photos, or videos of Antarctica from space. Google and NASA admit it. They say that there's not enough activity in Antarctica to justify putting satellites around that aspect of the globe. Well, then my next question is, if there's not enough reason to have satellites go that way, how in the world do the 56 military bases from 56 countries with the Antarctic Treaty, with countries all over the world have military bases down there, how do they operate if there's zero satellite coverage?
Well, one of Admiral Byrd's men who was down there said there's a set of stairs going down into the abyss.
Oh, yeah. Admiral Byrd's wild.
All poured concrete, by the way.
Yeah.
That was he said that before he died. And, there's some things down there we don't know about.
No, I agree on that. And guys, I get a lot of people asking questions in the morning as far as on the shake. Well, we're always drinking with the fit food and the purple sticks. I usually make it. It really keeps the blood sugar stable, keeps everything really, really going, moving good. That's why I run the purple stick with the fit food. But I had somebody email me again over the weekend. They said, what do you guys always mix in the morning? It's pretty much the same thing that I run on the show. A lot of times I'll have my eggs in the house off of another shake. But on the show, I love drinking the shake with the purple sticks because it keeps my blood sugar, my energy really, really stable.
I throw multiple powder in it too.
I threw a scoop in this morning too. A lot of times I do my multiple at the house, but I threw a scoop in this morning too because we got it out here. And I just want to give you guys a heads up on that because we always have the morning energy kit that I threw together months ago. That's the fit food with the purple sticks on a sale as a pack together. That's a really, really great stack. If you're at work, if you're at school, I have multiple students that have contacted me in the past that drink this as their breakfast on their way to class, and they say they're just on point.
Oh,
the old adage of grabbing pastries and donuts for breakfast.
Blood sugar.
You want to talk about the absolute worst thing to put in your body, especially as a man, because men need protein in the morning. You have to have it to maintain muscle mass and maintain blood sugar levels. When you eat a massive amount of carbs and sugar, especially with no protein in the morning, you're not only asking to have issues with syndrome X and possible diabetes later on in the future and blood sugar problems, you're asking to get really fat in the morning and then get really sleepy in the morning. Let's be honest with you. You're blowing your blood sugar through the roof. You're dumping in with insulin. Your energy level's going down, and you're doing nothing but storing body fat. Stay away from eating that stuff in the morning. There's another article out now that's coming in. It's adjusted now, the definition of obesity. And, of course, obesity's gotten much worse down in the U.S. after they adjusted it. Remember, a lot of times they were talking about BMI measurement. Well, now they're throwing in waist circumference. Waist circumference now getting factored into this.
Well,
And waist to height ratio.
it kind of needed to be.
It kind of needed to be. Now they're saying that nearly 7 in 10 Americans are now falling into the obese category. Now the reason why I think they're doing this, is my opinion, is I think they're trying to sell more GL1Ps and they're trying to sell more Ozempic. And they're trying to push the obesity narrative as far as people on these drugs. That's my opinion. However, what they discuss here, though, is the peer-reviewed study published in JAMA Network Open, conducted by researchers affiliated with Harvard and Massachusetts General Hospital. They went to say that individuals now classified as obese under 3 conditions if they have an elevated BMI plus at least 1 elevated anthropometric measure, or BMI greater than 40, or at least 2 elevated measures. And so this happened before, because I remember ways back when I was like really training heavy. I was like 230, 6 foot, still had visible abs. The problem with it was I was classified as obese under that scale just because of height and weight. But again, they never measure muscle tissue or waist circumference, and now they're doing that, which is a great idea to see as far as participants and overall, body composition. But again, you've got to look at the whole spectrum on it, especially if you're training, you're exercising, you're working out.
Oh, by the way, we were having lunch on Friday, and some of our listeners came up. 2 ladies came up and started talking to me and said they love the show and they love the way you and I banter with each other all the time. And then they told me, and I really appreciate this, they used our supplements. Thank you so much.
Yes, appreciate that.
And so we appreciate it when you guys recognize us in public. If you come up and say something to us, that's always fun for us, because lets us know that somebody's listening.
Yeah, we got, we do this show every day for y'all. And the thing about it is, this is not an easy world to be in anymore, because you get a lot of blowback. I mean, look at Charlie Kirk. This is getting a much more, how should you say it, more just difficult world to be in when you're talking about the truth, because nobody wants to be told the truth anymore in most cases. And a lot of times, these individuals that love their free air, they don't want anybody talking about the truth. And like with Charlie, he was the tip of the spear with getting this stuff out in person, in college universities. And we try to do the same thing on this show. And we take a lot of flack for it, because we don't really hold anything back either. And neither was he at the end.
Well, here's what I've learned, and a lot of other people have learned this over the years with the decisions they've made. Chickens always come home to roost.
They do. You're going to pay your dues some point.
I've got some friends. They've made some really bad choices.
Yep.
And now they're dealing with some really bad consequences. I had a good friend. His name was Mike. And he worked for us for years in maintenance. And every day he'd have a bologna sandwich with white bread with cheese. I mean, I'm talking
consistent every day.
I'm talking
Great guy.
I'm talking Walmart, filthy nonsense food, bad as it got. And I kept telling him, Mike, I said, that's going to really affect your cardiovascular system. And he smoked. And I told him, I said, you really got to stop this. This is not healthy for you every single day. And so sure enough, he had a heart attack. Yep. Had that bypass surgery, and then he had to have, within a year, he passed away from after that. And the whole thing was sad. He's a great guy. I really liked him. He was a former Hell's Angel.
Yeah.
Tough dude, boy. He's mean.
Awesome guy.
But I tell you what, though, you talk about, have you ever sent your kids somewhere with him?
I remember that with younger kids. Someone came by the property one time, and I think the kids were outside playing. That was way back to my younger siblings, and somebody stopped by. I think they were trying to